7 o'clock, we're starting the Conservation Commission meeting, and we have the enforcement order for the community center project, the VFW, and the update.
All right, so I think the latest is that they couldn't get any more jute cloth because it's out of stock this time of year. They were able to get a netting with straw in it, supposedly biodegradable netting. Hopefully it actually is biodegradable. And they put that on the other part of the slope that was a concern. And so as far as I'm concerned, they're kind of set for the winter until we're ready to seed in the spring. And if you guys want, I can share my report. You guys can look at the pictures. And then I had put together a draft letter kind of describing the progress that's been done and what still needs to be done in the spring. Are you guys looking at the agent report?
Yes. Yep.
Great. Yep. All right, so this is the section that now has the kind of the straw netting on it. It's next to the ball field. And I had asked them to do this section. So this is the original section with the jute. This section's a little harder to do because of the trees. And there's also, it's not a budding wetland, but this section is a budding wetland, a little bit higher than the other wetland. But so that's why I asked them to do this section as well. So that's the status with that. And then Stephen, did you get a chance to look at my letter that I had put together?
Yeah, I think I did last time when you sent it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the things that still need to be done are the seeding in the spring. And I put a date down there to have that done by April 15th on the slope. The pile of fill needs to be removed. That can have a somewhat flexible timeline, I guess, but maybe the commission has an opinion on that, maybe by June 1st or something like that. And then just the filing of a determination of applicability needs to happen if you're going to do, so if you guys are just going to leave it kind of how it is and stabilize it, like, you know, seed that area with grass, you know, the flat area, and get rid of the pile of dirt, then you probably wouldn't have to file a determination. But if you want to do anything else with it, I think you would. So that's kind of, but you guys would need to, I guess, ideally, I think that would maybe happen by April 15th as well. So you guys can kind of get on with what you're doing there. So we can get the rest of that area stabilized instead of leaving it open.
All right.
So do you guys think you probably are going to do something more than just seeding it?
No, not that I know of. No one's had any plans, so just seeding.
I know there was some talk of a fence, maybe. Not sure that you would need a determination for that, but I think the commission would like to see some bounds put in, as well as the stabilization.
All right.
So does that sound good to you?
Yes. Yes, it does.
And you think at the moment you don't really have, just the plans for the area are to keep it flat and level, seed it with grass.
And that's about it.
Right. So there are the boulders on the edge are small stones that are kind of acting as a barrier. The commission, we may want to ask, I think, them to, I don't know what your thoughts about whether we would want some plantings on the top of the slope just to kind of keep people from putting more stuff over the slope, or maybe we just accomplish that with bounds. Up to the commission to determine. Hopefully the slope will be planted with a grass mix or a wetland plant mix that may have a few shrubs in it that would help with the slope.
This is from the commission. I think the discussion before was to put something there that would prevent people from dumping things over the side and causing more fill go into the wetland.
Yes, yeah, just kind of to act as a visual barrier. All right, this is as far as we can do work or whatever. Beyond here is off limits, kind of like the bounds idea. So maybe you just want bounds to be put in, whatever you guys think.
Okay.
The bounds will be good. Possibly planting and maybe a fence. I have a sign on it saying no. I guess put rail fence.
Hi, Chris. I couldn't hear you very well on that.
Maybe
putting
a fence there, like a split rail fence, that would say no dumping past this point, because so people would not get the idea they can drive up there at night and dump stuff. And the bounds would be a good idea.
Yeah, certainly the bounds. Stephen, what do you feel like you have a problem with people from the outside dumping stuff there, or is it mostly just kind of cleaning up brush and putting stuff that's unwanted at the edge? How does that work?
I really don't see anybody dumping things over because they haven't in the past. So I would probably put up some. What do you figure, hedges?
You'd like some planting, yeah, some kind of plantings.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a good idea.
The bounds and plantings would be great, and if there's no problem, that's good. And then if there is a problem, we can watch it and then forward.
Right, yeah, something that can be monitored. If it seems like it develops into an issue, then yeah, maybe the fence would be, and the sign would be necessary. All right, well, maybe the next step is, sometime in the spring, maybe before April 15th, we'll, map out a few locations for bounds, and I can come up with some plants, a list of plants, and maybe we can agree on, I don't know, a line of shrubs, 6 feet apart or something on the area that's closest to the wetland.
Mm-hmm.
If that seems reasonable.
Yes.
You could also map out where the bounds will go.
Yes.
All the work you've done so far is greatly appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So are there any other discussions?
I just had a quick question. Steve, do you guys plan on probably maybe having vehicles parked there for an overflow at all? Or?
Yeah, I think that's what they're actually thinking of doing.
So yeah, that might lend some of those ideas about maybe something a little more of a barrier then too.
You would keep it as grass, though. This would just be a couple times a year type thing, where it wouldn't get a lot of use, right?
Right. I mean, we're not using it as, say, the community center's all filled up. We're not going to use that for any other park, and we're just mostly whenever we have the car shows.
Mm-hmm.
which is once a week, so.
So do we have any other discussions or comments? So, Steve and Mary, will we keep that for the spring to discuss?
Yeah, maybe should we put it on a spring agenda, or?
Will we still leave the enforcement order open?
Yep, enforcement order stays open until everything's stabilized. Yep.
So if we put this for the spring, like, is it April 15th?
Yeah, so maybe we need to, have them on a meeting before then just to see how they're doing. April 15th, certainly for the seeding. The plants could go in a little bit later, but certainly maybe we want to say by May 1st or something, or maybe it's just simplest to say everything by April 15th.
April 15th is a Saturday. So maybe we say April 12th, because that's the meeting date.
Okay. So change the date to get everything done by April 12th.
Yep,
Right.
got it.
Yeah, sounds good.
So that would be a date for us to have a meeting. Okay, so we'll put this on our long range for April 12th, and hopefully we'll be ready to go by that date. Okay, well, thank you for coming back up and everything all set.
So we're all
Okay.
set?
We're all set for now. Thank you.
Right. Yep.
Okay, now, we have like 2 minutes. So we go to our reports. So, Mary, for your administrator's report.
Yeah, so a couple things. Maybe I'll share my screen here. 190 Milford Street is Tattersall, and you can't really see this work from the road. A neighbor called and complained. It's a large amount of work. There are no wetlands nearby, but this does fall under the stormwater bylaw. And what he says he's trying to do is just clear. It looks like a huge area, but he's been incrementally making it bigger. If you look at near map pictures, there's always been kind of an open area there, and he's just been every year he cuts down a few trees and makes it bigger. Well, this year he cut down a bunch more, and it's a lot bigger. And then he went in and has been grading it and blasting there's some bedrock there. He's been blasting at that, and he really wants to level the whole thing out and grind up all the stone that he's blasted and put it on top and make kind of a level place with gravel so he can park some of his equipment or whatever. It is large. And so what I asked him to do is to see if he could keep it under the 1 acre threshold, which the 1 acre would, that would require him to get engineered plans and a stormwater permit. He has done, as far as I can tell, a pretty good job. I don't think I have pictures of, but on the low end side of the site, he built a lovely kind of retaining wall out of these huge, huge stones. And that seems to be containing, doesn't seem to be any dirt or erosion going on to the neighbors. It seems to be containing everything pretty well. It is a large open site though. And there's nothing getting onto the highway because it goes on to first his parking lot, which he's been keeping very clean. So I had him do a kind of a notification form that are minimal under the stormwater bylaw, the tier 1 notification, just that he's doing it. And then the idea is that I'll take a look at it when he's done and just make sure there's no more stormwater issues with the neighbors. He's planning on swaling a corner of it to make sure that things flow right, but he's kind of using his general builder's know-how. But if you guys think we should do something else here, let me know. He did say he was really scared off by the thought of having to do engineered plans for it. So that's kind of how that one went. Anyone want to have any comments on that?
Looks like you've got it under control.
Yeah.
Sounds reasonable to me. That sounds reasonable.
So good job with that one, Mary. So what we
Yes.
should do is not to cut you off, but at 7:15 we have Five Forks Farm proposed irrigation pond discussion, and then we go back to your report. So I see Grace is logged on.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Do you have anyone else with you?
No.
Okay. So what's your proposal?
So, since last fall, I think we left off in September, I believe. And since right after we had the walkthrough with Concom to do the grading, the parking, we actually had a well investigation since the board approved the 3 shallow well design. Shortly thereafter, we had the geologic investigation to actually not study, but drill test wells down there. And the outcome was not favorable for any wells. They hit bedrock at 13 feet, I believe. So we're back to the drawing board with NRCS, and we've now exhausted all other options, and our last option now is this irrigation reservoir. This is you're looking at the preliminary plan that the NRCS engineers have drafted. It is a half-acre pond, 12 feet deep. But I think the idea, if you look at this holistically, is that even doing the reservoir, the pond, it would work hand in hand with the regrading aspect of this, of our overall plan for the west side here. We have not moved forward on the parking because this water issue is of paramount importance to us. It makes no sense to do all these other infrastructure upgrades if we can't get water to service our existing operation. So we're here. I think Kristen at SVT emailed late. I don't know, Marcella, if the board received their comments on said plan, but it seemed like they were amicable to doing this.
Yeah, the Mike had sent out Kristen's document, so people might have it in their mailboxes. It did go out a little late in the day, so I don't know who's seen it and who hasn't, but yeah, SVT seems okay with it.
I had an opportunity to read it, and it seems fine for me too.
Well, I'm just curious, would this be a fair bit of excavation? Would this soil stay on site?
Yeah, the soil will be staying on site as we could use it for the regrading of the, what the board has already approved on the west side.
Yeah, so I think the only issue conservation-wise is whether you'd need to file a permit. It's kind of hard for me to tell whether it was in 100, whether it's within 100 feet of the stream here, or 200 feet of the riverfront area, or 200 feet of Warren Brook, or whatever the brook is over there.
Mary, this is Mike. I can share some near map imagery, but I just want to, Grace, maybe you can confirm this or inform me. It seems like you're going to be diverting water away from that stream into the pond. And that stream is a resource area protected by the town bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act. I can try to show the imagery. Good luck to Mike. Oh, geez. Can you see anything right now?
No.
Oh, son of a.
Did we all get? I got an email with that image in it.
Yeah, Mary, maybe you could share it.
Oh, did you just send it out?
You should have it.
Okay. Oh, lots of emails since I was since I came home.
Surprise!
Are you guys looking at it?
Could you maybe blow it up a bit?
Let's see if I can. Oh.
Yeah, so for this imagery, you can see it's from this spring. You can see just below the, you can't see my cursor, of course, but just below the existing pond, the stream channel begins and then it flows, down underneath the boardwalk there that was built for the trail. So I just want to bring that to attention. I think, what we might want to do or suggest is have Mary research this and write an opinion regarding the permit requirements.
Well, we likely will be applying for the WPA exemption under agricultural use.
I was just going to say, Grace, you can do that, but we may need a town council opinion on that. I'm sorry, but when I read the regs or the guidance on agricultural exemptions, I don't think this would apply for an agricultural exemption. To get an exemption, you have to have basically active farmland. And
would we not have an active farm? Would you
not?
And the
land that this would benefit is just field, former pasture. Like I said, I think, let me finish. I think we need a town council opinion on that.
Isn't the water going to be pumped up to the upper fields, which are
yes,
active, that's active agriculture?
We need, my opinion is we need a town council opinion on that.
This is Chris.
So Grace, maybe I missed this. The plan is to take some of the water from the stream and then divert it into the
I would not go
pond.
so much to say we're diverting the water. We're actually capturing all the runoff as, in winter and whatnot. And using that, there will be outflows as there is in the current pond, and under normal rainfall events, there should be water coming out of it as well.
Well, so Grace, so what you're going to do is basically...
It's a retention pond.
Let me finish. You're going to pipe water from the existing pond to the new pond. Is that correct?
No.
There will be a new outlet on the existing pond to the...
No, if you look at the drawing, there's two different, they're not connected whatsoever.
Where's the water coming from then?
Rainfall. That whole area, Mike, already is already wet. So there will be no piping. The piping will be, we're going to pipe the water from the new pond up to use because we don't have enough capacity. It's the same idea as the 3 shallow wells, except the water is not coming from in the ground because there is no water in the ground.
So where again is the water for the new pond going to come from?
It could come from storm runoff, like there's water that comes out of the pond right now. So
that's the issue. The water that comes out of the pond right now is basically the headwaters of a stream, of a resource area.
I mean,
whether it's exempt or not is open to interpretation at this point. But that pond is the headwaters of a stream. And
can you clarify for me how? Can you confirm that the existing pond is not feeding the new pond? It sounds to me like you're just digging a hole.
Yeah, exactly. We are literally just digging a hole. Right now, that existing pond is just overflowing because it's not being able to capture all the water. So we are capturing the water. And as far as I know, that the stream brook or down there is already intermittent. It is not something that flows naturally all year round.
An intermittent stream is a resource area. What basically happened, decades ago was the Poiriers, I believe, built this little farm pond, and you've got a drainage system that goes from across the street, that channel along the north side of Pateau's property. It flows under the street. It feeds into this small pond, and then it discharges from the pond into another stream channel. So
but if the
I'm really skeptical that you're going to just capture enough either surface runoff or without having to divert water from the stream.
What have the studies, the folks who did prepared this, what's their opinion as to how successful they think this would be, just being fed from groundwater and
this is the only other option. Honestly speaking, do you remember the drainage that was approved on the east side? They were too afraid to attach the drainage down to this area, I think, because there was going to be too much water flowing down. And there was not an adequate area to capture it. So essentially you're fixing one problem but causing another problem. So the worry that there won't be adequate water is to them. I mean, we can have another meeting with the engineers. It has never really come up.
Yeah, I don't have it. I think that you're going to be able to bring water into a pond there. Mike, is your concern that any water that ends up in there is being diverted from the it doesn't look to me like there's anything being diverted from the existing waterway into this.
From this sketch, but
right.
I'm skeptical that this pond will work without a diversion.
Well, if it doesn't work, it's just a hole in the ground. It could be filled in again. It's not. Yeah.
Anyway, I think what I would like the commission to do, if it's our other one, is first off ask Mary to review this, provide us with her her thoughts on it. And part of that I would suggest is getting a town council opinion whether or not there's an ag exemption here.
There's no harm in doing that. That would be okay with me.
I would also say, if those things done, it would also be helpful to have the engineers from the energy come to a meeting of ours so we can ask them questions.
Before we stop, could someone go back to the beginning and show me on this very tiny diagram where the new pond is, where the old pond is, and where which is up gradient of which?
Great. Sandy, can you see my cursor?
I can now. You made it a little bigger. That's all great.
So yeah, this is the existing pond and a stream right there. And let's see if I can move
Wait,
this over.
now you need to scroll it down or something because I've lost you.
Okay. Yeah. Is that better?
I guess, yeah.
Existing pond, stream existing, and then this new area is over here with the red line. And
Okay.
it looks like there's maybe a little kind of natural swale here, or maybe that's not. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's
Okay.
fill.
Where are you pointing?
Is this a stone wall or
She's
something?
over by the D. She's over by the D and the R. And draft.
Anyway,
It's
that
below
doesn't
the
matter.
stone
This is
wall.
the red. This was the proposed area.
Okay. And show me the old pond.
Old pond is right here with the green.
So that's more beside it, not above it or below it.
It's
Well,
above,
yeah, it's a
As
substantially
far
above
as
it.
the elevation marks go.
this is at like 485 or something. And
Yeah.
the top of this will be 464. So Grace, this was something that the engineers proposed that they thought would work for.
This is the engineers, the preliminary drawing that they came up with. This is the sort of the same area that we were targeting with the shallow wells.
Okay.
The 3 shallow wells. And now we're going to use existing, topography to our advantage here. And honestly, this is the last resort to finding or getting water.
Grace, I have a question about that too. I mean, deep groundwater well on this side, why was that ruled out?
We've already pursued that. So we've gone 800 feet, and judging from all the other well drilling reports around the area, we have 800 feet up here, and we barely get 8 to 10 gallons a minute, which is.
So the 800 foot is on the other side of the road, right?
Yeah, and here they had bedrock even before that.
I was just wondering, that fairly new house that's adjacent to your property. I actually have a call into them. I'm curious what kind of a well they have, how deep their well is, what kind of production they get out of it. They're definitely not on town water there. They've got to have a well. So that's something I think the commission should look into a little bit. Everybody, a lot of the people in this part of Upton have fairly deep wells.
So, Mike, in terms of what agricultural usage is, if we don't get 50 gallons a minute, that would be deemed non.
I understand you need more. You need more water than a residence does, but I'm still curious what, how deep their well is, and they may have a production report from it when the well was established. I don't know. I don't want to give you a hard time, but that's one question I have. And then the other question I have is, I potentially have an aesthetics problem here. I know I read SVT's letter, the last line, it said something that it's not doesn't impact the view shed. I'm not sure I agree with that.
We've had other comments from the commission or from the public. So it sounds like at this point, there's a question about the conservation requiring a council from the town council. And then, Mike, you're looking at information from the abutting neighbors. Well, Grace, is there anything else that you want to give us at this point?
Nope. I will say, excuse me, I will say that it's super important as, this is what's holding up every other aspect of improvements to the farm. If we do not get water, then we're back at square one and looking to, is it even worth it to farm here anymore?
Grace, were you looking to have this system up and running for this coming season, spring?
Yes.
Summer season?
Yes.
Is that a realistic goal?
That is the goal with in terms of the drainage. Everything goes hand in hand in terms of having the work done. The crew, the people doing the work are the same. It's if they're going to do our back drainage projects with their trucks and everything and doing the parking lot and, having it all here, it's the same machinery that's going to do all the projects. So in terms of even terracing the west side to make it farmable for us, for this project is the fill or the excavation of the pond will be used to help in that other project. Everything goes hand in hand. But back to the beginning, if we don't have water, then there's no point in me spending money to get an engineer drawing done for a parking lot. Makes no sense to me to spend $50,000 to improve the drainage out back. It all really impinges on whether or not we have water.
Grace, when would they want to be starting in order to get you going for this season?
It's ASAP. I'm being held up because I don't even want to spend $8,000 on a parking diagram to go to the planning board right now if we can't even find water. We thought that the 3 shallow wells were good for come September, October. But after the drillers came to, confirm or deny that, it ended up being a big no. So,
well, I hope as a commission we can move along speedily for you, so you can get this approved.
Grace, I have one other question for you. Has anyone dug a test pit where this proposed second pond would be? I'm curious, or is the NRCS assuming that the groundwater table is fairly high in this location?
We have dug the test pit, which is why they thought the shallow wells.
No. I mean, in the location where the pond is proposed, has anyone dug a test pit right there
It's in the same spot as the shallow wells.
All right, same part as the shallow wells. So where's the groundwater there? What is the groundwater elevation thought to be there?
I mean, I can go get the geologist's reports back.
Well, I think, maybe that's an
From that.
important missing piece of information. Maybe they assume that if they dig down to 452, they're going to hit groundwater.
Well, it's not that, it's a retention pond. So they don't even, it's an irrigation retention reservoir. They don't even call it ponds. It's a reservoir to capture the water. The water is not coming out of the ground to fill the pond.
All right. So we're back to the same concern I have. Where is all that surface runoff coming from? If it's not coming ultimately from the stream channel, or being diverted from the stream channel. Okay. Thank you.
At this point, it sounds like the Conservation Commission needs to get a town council opinion on this. Is that correct? For the
I
commission?
think that's probably a good idea. When there is guidance we could read, or Mary could read, about the agricultural exemption, and maybe if Mary thinks she needs a town council opinion, we could authorize her to ask for that after she's read the guidance on agricultural exemptions.
Works for me.
For the commission, do we have any other comments or questions for the audience? So at this point, it sounds like for the commission, can we make a motion to authorize Mary to review the agricultural exemption and consult with town council if needed?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Alan, aye.
Mike, aye.
Sandy, I.
David, I.
Marcella, aye.
And that's a unanimous vote of the Conservation Commission. So we'll get that expedited as soon as possible. So Grace, hopefully we'll have an answer for you shortly. We appreciate your patience. And it's ironic that we're talking so much about groundwater or water when we're having all this rain right now. And who knows where that's going to go.
It could be going into this retention pond.
That is my idea every single season. Like in Marcella, I think you and I remember when we first moved in, and I think I suggested a pond that we needed to do something to capture all the rainwater that's coming. And it was, I think that was like the second year we were here. And since then we've done everything else but try to do a retention pond. And now we're back to that as it's ironic that that's come as our last resort now.
Hopeful that we'll get answers that for our next meeting and then be able to talk with you again. Now, we should probably keep you on our next meeting for the February 8th. How about February 8th at 7 o'clock?
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That was for you. Thank you. We appreciate your patience. Okay, Mary, we're back to your report.
All right. I also had an inquiry from someone on Hopkinton Road that wanted to remove 5 to 8 trees so he can install rooftop solar. This house was built under an order of conditions and has wetland on 3 sides. There are bounds on one side. And most of the trees, though, are not within the bounds. They're kind of maybe 50 to maybe around 50 feet from the wetland, or, you know, around that vicinity. There are 2, though, that are within the bounds, or at least 2. I haven't been out to look at them yet. He has them all marked now. Anyhow, I think I talked to Chris on the phone about this. It sounds like you guys don't really necessarily have a tree policy, and that, you know, I'll just probably give him the go ahead, unless there's any other comments on that. I'll go out and look at all the trees that he wants to do before giving him the go ahead. Some of them are big white pines. But, you know, he's at the edge of his house is in a very wooded area. There's a lot of trees there. So. And then the other thing was 162A Main Street. Met with Maura Garner about the sawmill operation. And they had hoped to be able to move all of it more than 200 feet away, so they would not have any, you know, overlap with the riverfront area. But their site is kind of constrained. And so they're realizing that they may not be able to do that. My thought was, if they can at least keep everything more than 100 feet away, that would be good. Remember, they're running, they have equipment, and they're storing logs and some boards on the site. It is a kind of a grassed, it's an existing kind of meadow area. So the main impact is, you know, where they're storing the boards and the logs, the grass gets killed. So that's kind of the impact. Although I guess the machinery, you know, if there were any oil leaks or something like that, that would be a concern. So the way we left it is, we're gonna, once the property owner gives permission, we'll walk the property and kind of, you know, designate that 100-foot line, and then they're just gonna try to stay out of that. So, but that's how far that went. And it is a natural heritage area, so maybe I talked to them a little bit about I think it's the turtles, right, Mike? For them to be aware of the turtles, maybe we need to.
Yes.
Maybe they need to do something more than that. Do you think they would need a filing for that kind of activity, Mike?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I didn't research that aspect.
Yeah.
I can look into that more.
If you could, please. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I will do that. So that was pretty much it. I met with Joe Layden and Mike Antonellis, and Mike, who is the new planner, would like to attend one of our meetings at some point, but he's feeling a little swamped right now, trying to figure everything out. So not today, maybe another day. So they wanted to talk about, you know, Joe's trying to figure out what to do with the Holy Angels property the town is, and how much money they needed to set aside. So they were just concerned about what kind of wetland permitting issues we might have there. So I talked about that. And then both Mike and Joe are very interested in getting something better than Mass Mapper for like a townwide GIS that might go on our website for the public to use and for us to use internally. So that's kind of exciting. And although it's just a kind of a ground level discussion right now, but I know Mike and Dave, you might want to have some 2 cents about that once they're ready to do that.
Yeah, feel free to rope me in, because I have a couple ideas that folks could use. So definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be beneficial. I know Webster it wasn't great, but it was kind of a minimal town GIS, which was better than the Mass Mapper. So it's nice to have it, especially even just having the contours. The Mass Mapper's contours are not very good. That is pretty much it for the agent report.
Thank you. How about the administrator's report?
Administrative report. I did put the financials in the packet. I can pull that up if you guys want to look at it. I'll do that. I'll pull that up.
Have they started interviewing for the administrative position?
Yes, they have. Hopefully, I think they're going to make a decision probably by the end of the week, I think.
Wow, okay, great.
Yeah, I'm going to meet with one potential candidate tomorrow. So, which is good. All right.
We're cleaning that up. Does anyone have questions for Mary?
All right. Can you guys read this, the financials?
Yep.
Yeah, so our general expense balance went down because we had pulled some things out of there, but we expect, I believe, that to go back up again. And I'm still trying to figure that one out. But other than that, that's kind of, nothing's been spent on beavers. And then there's a fair bit of money. We haven't pulled any money out of the bylaw or to pay my salary as yet. I think Kenny wanted to draw down what they have set aside for that first. So I think that's it for administrative.
Tell me again why the question marks on the conservation fund?
Because I guess I need to look at those spreadsheets again from Kenny. I was not sure. I was having a hard time understanding the spreadsheets because I don't know, the account numbers didn't line up with what we had or something. I don't know. There's something funny about that. I need to maybe dig into that when I have a free bit of time. But I feel very confident about the Wetland Protection Fund and the Bylaw Fund and the General Expense Fund and the Beaver Control and the Community Garden. And I'm a little bit fuzzy on this land stewardship, but I think it's about right. Sandy, you're the treasurer, right?
Right, and I figured I should come down and look that over and maybe clarify some stuff. So
yeah, that might be helpful. I can, Kenny usually sends out, although he hasn't recently, like a monthly update, which I usually check with what we have to see if it matches.
And you do have to check because, well, these are all laid out a little better than they used to be, but they never knew what fund. We lost a lot of wetland protection money way back when the funds first started because he didn't know what it was. Or it wasn't him, it was previous. So yeah,
right,
it's complicated. So that's all. I just wondered why you had question marks on it.
Yeah, and I don't think we usually spend money out of this fund, right?
No, typically that's what we use for purchasing land, appraisals and that sort of thing. So, and once in a while we get the town budget to put some money in there when we do our town meeting. So
yes. And I guess one thing I noticed,
we let Mike spend that on appraisals for land purchases and stuff.
In the past, they've been putting. I'm going to change the way deposits are done. I've decided, just the way it's been done, they've been putting like the money from RDAs and COCs. They've been putting them into the Wetland Protection Fund, and really, since that money is it's under the bylaw. It's not under the state law. So I'm just going to put everything I'm just going to put everything in the bylaw fund that's not the state money. And so I'm going to start paying the newspaper ads out of the bylaw fund because our newspaper ads are not, that's not the state fee anyway. So I'm not going to try to move anything from the past. That would be way too much work. But just from future going on, the only money that goes into wetland protection is what we get from the state fees. That's how I'm going to do it.
Right.
So.
Right. And I think at one point we were paying the ads out of our expense account.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
But
now
they
the
were-
ads are, well, now they've been going out of
They're
wetland
kind of
protection, but I'm gonna
costly
have
now.
them go out of the wetland bylaw fund. It's basically an in-out, basically, because people pay
Right.
it. Although it's, it's slightly more.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
How did you keep track of where it's coming from too? That's good. Okay, any other financial questions? Okay, Ellen, how about the financial update? I'm sorry, Mary, we just did that. Ellen,
Yeah, nothing new to report. Last thing we did was just the Pratt Pond ice out, ice in.
thank you. How about the other state? Is Bill here for that one?
I'm sorry, you're hard to
Can't
hear.
hear you, Chris.
For the open space?
Speak into your microphone.
Open space.
Yes, I don't have much. We're going to start talking about the 100 acres on off of North Street, between North Street and Fay Mountain Road, at our next meeting, which is going to be Tuesday.
Thank you. And how about land stewardship?
We've been, we did a walkthrough and try to identify the best areas for trails over at the Mechanic Street property. And I think we kind of outlined a nice area that we could add to the existing trail system and bring people past some interesting features. There's a little waterfall, vernal pool, and then bring the trails across the power lines over to Stefan so we can have that link. So that's what we're working on now, and I hope we'll get a chance to look at that at our next meeting.
Marcella, did it look like there'd be some wetland or stream crossings needed?
Oh yeah. In fact, I don't know if you're familiar with the area that the parking area next door to the Knots, or the so-called parking area, the access, that looks like it would be a great parking area. It was super wet. That little cleared area wasn't. We didn't really check it out. It might be wet, but there's a stream crossing between that and the better part of the property. And when we crossed it with SVT, it was dry. It was like a little, we could put a 6-foot plank here. This time it was just, basically a wetland, like a huge wetland. So we'll have to take a look and see if that's a practical access at all. And, if it's not, then we don't need to worry about dealing with the parking there. But if we do want to do some kind of crossing there, it's going to be a big one.
Latest communications with the DEP is that we do have to mitigate BVW impacts and attempt as close as possible to meet the replication performance standards. So probably should at some point we have to figure out how many square feet we would be impacting and try to find an area to build a replication wetland.
To start with, we have plenty of, there's enough parking for 3 cars, I would think, at the trailhead off of Fowler Street. So we have access. We can start by establishing the trails, and then we can talk about alternate access points. But yeah, I think we're going to have to do, yeah, have some adventures with the filing for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is no exemption for trail BVW impacts. There's exemption for buffer zone impacts, and there's an exemption for riverfront impacts, as long as the trail isn't like more than 3 feet wide. But there's no exemption for BVW. So we did the good thing. We did the right thing years ago when we mitigated for BVW impacts at Steffens, which I guess is good. But now we have to keep that in mind going forward for the Robertson property and for Mechanic Street. So, more fun.
Yay!
Else for land stewardship.
I think that's it for now. Except we did a little site walk over at Warrenbrook with a couple of folks from the mountain bike group, and so we're talking about working with them to develop some trails there too.
Thank you. How about ongoing items? No. Hearing none, our 8 o'clock with Governor's Landing was being requested to be on our next meeting, which is the 8th. So the 8th we have the Lambs at 7:15 we have Robertson NOI, and then 7:45 we have Governor's Landing. Anything else that we need to discuss or add?
Chris, I don't know whether you want to add these to the agenda now. There will be 2 new filings. 2 determinations. 91 Glen Ave, and I think I have it in my report. I think it was Hartford, or anyway, Hartford 11 Hartford Ave or something. I should look in my report. Let's see. So those will be for the 8th. 11 Hartford Ave is the other one. So I don't know whether you want to set times for those now. Glen Ave is pretty simple. Hartford Ave, I haven't really looked at it much yet, although it's an addition. I think it's over 50 feet. That's why I told him he could do the determination. It's over 50 feet from the resource area in previously disturbed soil. So they're both probably pretty simple, but I haven't researched them.
Is that the one where they wanted to put their deck there? Or is that the 91 Street?
Glen Ave is the deck.
Oh. How about if we try and do the Glen Ave at 7:30? And the 11 was that Glen Ave? How about we do that one at 7:35, 7:40?
And then Governor's Landing's at 7:45, or?
Yep. I'm thinking that they may want to continue it again. If they do want to do that, fine. So 7:40, 7:30, and then 7:40. So it's Glen Ave and then Hartford Ave. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted, and do you guys need to make a motion to continue Governor's Landing? I think I don't know if it's required. We always did in Webster, but I don't know if it's required.
I move that we continue Governor's Landing to, what was the date?
February 8th.
February 8th at what time?
Second.
Thank you.
I
Marcella,
think
aye.
My guy. Not sure.
was that everybody voted?
Sandy, I.
David, I.
Alan, I.
Okay, so we have a unanimous vote of the Conservation Commission that we're continuing Governor's Landing until February 8th at 7:45 per their request. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
I just have two more things.
Yeah, I have something too, Chris, when Mary's done.
Just the documents I had sent out, the determination for the Whitney Conservation Area, just to approve that. And also, if there are any other comments on the VFW letter that's going to go out to the VFW and everyone else.
Do you have any comments on-
I'm fine with the VFW letter.
Yep, I'm good with that.
on the VFW letter. Make a motion that we accept the letter that Mary wrote. Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Let's do a voice vote. Chris, I.
Alan,
Sandy,
I.
I.
David, I.
My guy.
Marcella, aye.
Okay, there is that one. And the next one he had, Mary, was for the which project?
The determination for Whitney East and the main is actually very simple. There were no conditions because I didn't see any need for any conditions. I just said the work is within the buffer zone, but will not alter the area. So, and it would probably be exempt because it's in the buffer zone.
Thank you. The motion to accept that paperwork.
So moved.
Second, do we have one?
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris, I.
Alan, I.
Sandy, I.
David, I.
My guy.
Marcella, aye.
It's a unanimous vote of the commission. It's everything, Mary.
That's all for me.
And Mike?
Yeah, as you recall, I think we talked about we're going to be applying for a Mass Trails grant for the Robertson Trail Bridge. That application is due next week, February 1st. One of the things that needs to be included in the application is an opinion of any organization that holds a CR on the property if the proposed trail bridge, in this case, is consistent with the CR. I've been working with the DCR Conservation Restriction Manager, and we're going to get a letter from them saying that the proposed trail bridge is consistent with the CR and approvable. The town also holds the CR here, so I would like to ask the commission to also send a letter regarding this, and the letter will be included in the grant application. Mary's showing the letter. Some of this I kind of borrowed from the DCR letter, just to save time. And but it's basically, if you go down to the the bottom line is the Conservation Commission voted today. Hopefully, we'll do this to support submittal of the grant application that the proposed trail bridge is consistent with the purposes and provisions of the CR. So, any questions?
Nope, I would move that we agree to send this, include this letter as part of the application packet.
Take a second.
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice of aye.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Mike, aye.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
And Mike, thank you for writing this letter. And
thank you for doing the grant. You have no idea how much is going into preparing this grant application. It's they like a lot of stuff, and Mike has done it all.
Yeah, and hopefully we've got a shot at it. Although no one should hold their breath on this one.
it's always worth a try. Okay, thank you. That's excellent. So, anything else? So, we have a motion to adjourn, Sandy.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Okay.
All in
So,
favor? Aye.
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 Excellent. Good job, you guys. Have a good Groundhog Day on the 2nd. Okay, thank you. Coming soon. Thank you.